Greetings and salutations. We're back with the Nuzlocke, and I just released off camera Ethan because he died in the fight against Rourke. I had to remember his name. I was going to call him Brock. There's the Magikarp that I have to get renamed at Eterna City because I forgot to name it. But that's where I'm headed right now, actually. We're in Floroma Town. Now, the funny thing is I've already caught my Route 207. Do I have a Route 205? 207, 202. Ethan was not... No, that's right. I KO'd it. I am 99% certain I KO'd my Route 205. Let me go back. I'm going to completely mute this. I'm pretty sure I KO'd my Route 205. Let me go. I'm still looking here. So I have to double check that I've made sure that yep, it was a weasel. And yes, I did KO it. So yeah. So yeah, no Route 205 for me. Tragic as it is, I guess we will we'll have to go back and I guess try to find another one. Not in Route 205, obviously. So that's kind of got me strapped for assistance. As for the Valley Windworks, I can't really count that as a location. I could probably catch the Drifblim there. But basically we're going into this week. I mean, I've already got my 207, which was matchup. 205's out of the question. Man, can you imagine if I got a Ponyta? That'd be great. Get a fire type for the next gym. We'll get him with revenge, I guess. But no, it was terrible. Like, oh, of course he got burned. Why wouldn't he? See, this is what I mean about every single time. Ooh, knockoff. I do like that. We'll drop the Leer. He has guts, which means he gets a damage boost being burned. But I don't really want to leave that on him. It's a moral dilemma right now. I can't do the underground right yet. I can't do... I mean, I can put honey on the trees, but am I really going to get something good? Probably not. And like I said, I'm only limiting myself to one underground Pokemon. And if I do an underground Pokemon, try to think what one I would get. See, that would be a prime place to pick up like a Golbat or something. Because I can't pick up Golbats or anything from a cave. So the one I would get in the underground would be really beneficial. I can't use that, so that'll be sold at the next place's convenience. Hopefully now I don't get a burn or anything on me. He's got 4 of them. Well, probably all just Geodudes, which... Unless they have self-destruct, if they have self-destruct, I'm in trouble. Admittedly. Other than that, I'm in good shape. I mean, they probably don't really have sturdy... He could have an Onyx. Tortimer's going to evolve. There's a matchup. That's bad. The reason it's bad is because I don't have anything that is super effective against it, so we're kind of in the dark, so to speak. Well, I beat him, so that's a plus. So, like I said, unfortunately, I lost Ethan. I do like Curse. Better than Withdrawal. Cuts my speed, but gives me attack and defense. Might come in handy at a later date. Maybe. The weirdest thing is, like, this is the third attempt through a Nuzlocke for me. And it seems like it's getting harder and harder as time goes on. I can't say as time goes on, but it seems like it's getting harder and harder throughout the Nuzlocke due to the fact that this is just a harder version of Diamond and Pearl. To be honest with you. That and some shenanigans always happens. Yeah, I figured I was going to run into her. Do I have any coffee left? A little bit. Lady Elizabeth. Oh, no Poison Point. Poison Point would be absolutely mental right now. Not very... So Revenge goes last and allows me to hit for double. No Poison Point? No Poison Point. Beautiful. Oh wow, Vadoo's just quicker. I did not know that. I'll tell you, my RNG is not conducive to Nuzlocks. It just is not. Like, you know, if somebody else try a Nuzlocke, you know, I have the rule set printed out on the video descriptions. Somebody else try a Nuzlocke with the same rule set, and see if you guys have the same problem. See if you guys end up running into the same issue. The RNG just absolutely kicks you right in the nuggets. Yes, I used a euphemism. Well, metaphor. Either. Is this still Route 207? Or did it switch to 2? No, it's still 205. That's correct. Well, I can use that. What if I put a Peach Berry on him? If I do, it'll cleanse the poison. Berries are allowed. So when the fight starts up, he'll cleanse his poison. Aha! Outthinking the problem. Yeah, I lose guts, but I don't have to worry about taking extra poison damage every turn. Not very effective. Doubles the power. He has Intimidate. And he doesn't... See, that's the thing about Intimidate. Yeah, it cuts the attack of the opponent, right? I think Static is a much more annoying ability, to be honest with you. Because if you think about it, right? You Static, you hit him, you're paralyzed. That becomes a pain. It's just one of those things. Maybe it's just me. I think the biggest issues facing any, not even any Nuzlocke, but just any Pokemon battle, you can be playing competitively. I think Paralysis ranks up there with one of the most annoying status ailments. I was trying to think of the words ailment, and I couldn't think of it. I was going to say status conditions, but I just couldn't think of the word ailment. But no, I think it's one of the worst status ailments that you could get is paralysis. It ranks right up there with, like, affection. So it's like, ah, yes, well, your Pokemon is in love with the other one. Well, that's great. I'm glad that they're in love. but you have a 50% chance to not hit them. It's a little weird. Especially when you double them up, you put like paralysis and attract on them. Awful. Well, that's not good. Well, we'll do this anyway. No rock throw. Oh. Okay, they didn't hit that hard. Thought it was going to hit a lot harder than it did. And him being a bug type and all, the rollout, rock type, then you have the same type attack boost, and a type bonus. I thought it was going to be much worse, but I didn't really want to leave the other one out there, taking up all the experience. Yeah, we're going to switch to Tortimer. Mostly because I don't want, like I said, I don't want the one just eating up all the experience. And if I can get Tortimer to evolve before the next gym, he'll be able to tank a couple of hits, but I don't think he's going to be that effective in the next gym. Because I've made it to the next gym once, and that's a grass gym. And it was tough because, well, I had bad luck with Poison Point. And then, of course, once I go into a gym, I'm not allowed to leave and heal. So there I was, stuck in the gym, getting poisoned to death. Of course, the Razor Leaf didn't hit. I said, what, 90%, 95% accuracy? Got a worthless crit. I mean, take some solace in that. Could have been worse. Could have missed again. I think that's the issue I have with a lot of Nuzlocks, is the amount of just downright just RNG garbage that can occur. But I guess it's what makes it challenging, because you're forced to stay in against, you know, opponents like the Matchup here, or no revenge. Okay, good, low sweep. I could take one more. No crit. It's getting that's not good. Well, I got him. It's a plus. And I mean, the RNG is the extra challenge to it. The, you know, set battle style is a challenge. So, you know, putting those things together make it a lot more difficult. Ah, well, at least he's turning into a Grottle. I think it's a Grottle. Good. And the blooming idiot learned nothing. Well, he's a turtle. I can't expect him to learn a whole bunch of stuff, so... Gotta make do with what we got, I guess. Wait, is this a place where I can rest? Please tell me it's a place I can rest. Beautiful. That saved me a trip back. And, I mean, I can't out-level the next gym, so... Oh, good luck. Well, that's not good. I mean, it could be worse. It could have been a Chimchar. the fact that it's not a Chimchar means it's... Maybe it's because of what I chose. Which means if I was a Chimchar, it'd be a Piplup. No. If I was a Chimchar, it would be a Turtwig. I think. Maybe it's just a Piplup all the time. Hard telling. I like it when it varies based on what your starter is, because then it gives more of a dynamic. I can't even use that potion. That's fine. Gives more of a dynamic to the game where it's like, yeah, it, you know, varies on your starter, so it's to try to get you to be, I guess I would say, it gets you to be more conscious of typing, I guess, would be the word I'm looking for. Okay, you didn't give me the option to say no. You were just like, you're coming with me. Ha 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 ha. Brilliant. Wurmple and Silcoon. Well, using a Chansey is about as effective as trying to beat a tank with a boot. Chansey's just good at special defense, but that's about all. See? That was a critical hit on the Wurmple, and you see how little bit it took? Chansey's stats are just not there. It's awful. I'm sorry. The Lucky Punch Chansey is completely different. If you can do Lucky Punch Chansey, you're talking big business. Ooh, Sing. I'll take that over Growl any day of the week. Put him to sleep. Sleep and sweep. I'll go with that. Take that any day of the week. Twice on Saturday. Matter of fact, I think this video is going to go up Saturday because I have one for tomorrow, which is... I'm recording this on Wednesday, by the way. So, I have one for Thursday that goes up. That I've already recorded two. That's Friday. Nope, this will be on Sunday. So, missed out. You know, it's only twice on Saturday. There's the Mossy Rock for Eevee. That's blocked off by trees. It's blocked off by shrubbery. I want you to bring me a shrubbery. I'm gonna have to come up with a way to try to Nuzlocke what is it called? Arceus. Legends Arceus. I'm gonna have to try to come up with a way to Nuzlocke that. Because I don't think it's doable. Because, I mean, what are you going to say? Like, restrict one Pokemon per zone? Ew. It might be harder to do. I'm not on, and I'll be honest. I saw the stuff that they put out for like Pokemon ZA, and even though I like Pokemon as a franchise, and I've enjoyed the way it's like slowly made its way to being more about the competitive scene, right? Because they've started streamlining a lot of things for the competitive scene. Like with IV breeding in here, when you go underground, they have, I think, bare minimum 2 IV, possibly 3. And knowing that makes it really interesting because it makes it easier to get to the higher IVs so that you get higher IV eggs. And that, just that little bit of extra oomph that they took, that little bit of extra effort that they took to say, you know what, we're going to make it easier for people to get into the competitive scene. You can kind of see where Game Freak really, it avoided the Fury or the Fury Cutter. Okay. So you can see where they've kind of like decided to start embracing the competitive aspect, which was something they had shied away from for quite some time, and now they're almost like embracing it with open arms. Like, they need to do this. Like, this needs to be the way forward for their game to survive. And I like it. I like the fact that they're putting forth effort in the competitive scene and streamlining it for people to do competitive battling. But I don't think the ZA is where it's at. I really don't. I watched it, and it's like, okay, they're bringing back Mega Evolutions, which was one of the better generational gimmicks, as I like to call it. And that's, I mean, I do call them generational gimmicks because realistically that's what they are. It's a gimmick that you put forward in a game to get people to like the game for what it is, or something along those lines, right? Mega Evolutions was number one because there was a lot of counterplay in it. I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating. You have Mega Evolutions with their generational gimmick, and then right underneath that is terrestrialization. Because of the way it works in the play pattern, right? Now, I know that I say that for like Hearthstone, and I said that for like the Bazaar, and even Magic the Gathering. Like, things like the play pattern, it becomes fun or unfun. So you can still have play patterns in Pokemon, and you can have different permutations for openings in Pokemon as well. But what gets me is, those are both psychics. That's not good. Looks like we're going with resonance again. When you have play patterns that are unfun because it snowballs, like with Dynamax, or to a lesser extent, I guess, Z moves, because Z moves were just kind of meh. They weren't that good. They were just kind of there. I think there was maybe 2 Z moves that were worth anything. The rest were just kind of pathetic. And the play pattern was trying not to let it snowball and become a problem. There wasn't really much counterplay, especially when you use things like Eevee, and you used Eevee's Z move, where it was like, was it Eeveelution or something like that? Maximum Eeveelution. And it gave 2 stages to everything, so it's 2 stages to attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed. And then you could just baton pass it out. It kind of snowballed it, because you could set up Eevee to survive and then baton pass the whole thing out. Which made it unfun to play against, because it was just, you knew what was coming when you saw the Eevee hit the board. And so it's one of those things where it's just kind of you don't like it because you don't want to play against it. It gives you that, it almost puts like a bad taste in your mouth. Like, you ever put like 2-3 pennies in your mouth, and it's like kind of like that, but in Pokemon, right? It's just not enjoyable. And so to avoid that, you want counterplay. And you want that counterplay to be effective so that it makes the experience of playing the game more thrilling. The best way to do that, the best way to describe it is you're going to defeat your opponent, or you think you're going to get close to defeating your opponent. So you prep you prep a big attack, you prep this strategy out, like you're going to double up on one of the opponents, and then you're going to double up on the other, etc. Well, the opponent survives and manages to counterplay that by either terastallizing or doing a mega evolution. And so now you have that counterplay, because not only when you mega evolve, not only do your stats get better, but you get a new ability. So there's that level of counterplay too. Having that available makes the game harder to balance, which sounds bad, but let me explain. It's not bad, because even though the game's harder to balance around, because some things can snowball, like you could still snowball with terastallization. That is a thing. It can occur. Does it occur? Not very often, admittedly. And the reason that doesn't occur that much is because the counterplay to it. It's possible. I mean, you could watch back at older battles where people used to play Kangaskhan, and they would bring out Kangaskhan, and they would Mega Evolve, and then Mega Kang would just use Power Up Punch and could effectively snowball. Especially if you had a setup where you could get multiple Power Up Punches and get up to like +6 attack. The counterplay to that, of course, was Ditto, because then you'd copy their stats. So there was always a flip side to the coin that allowed you to take a look at the strategy before you would say, no, wait a minute, pump the brakes, I got something for you. Aha! And you think it through, right? Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing kind of stripped that away, because it was, you cast this ability and you're either completely eviscerating your opponent's defense, or you're buffing your own offense. So it kind of made it snowball very quickly. And what this does is you don't really fight back much, because you can't without Dynamaxing yourself and then having something with either Max Protect or something of the like to at least try to stem the flow of their onslaught. It was harder to bounce back from a Dynamax snowball than it was to counter, say, Mega Kangaskhan or Mega Salamence, etc. The Mega Evolutions were much easier to deal with. Because, I mean, Ditto was... Imposter Ditto was, like, the key. Oh, man, Murkrow would be awesome. But nothing I can do there. And there's no point in sticking around and taking extra damage. Can't even use a potion. Just, I like the fact that they're embracing more of the competitive side. So I'm more excited personally for Pokemon Champions than I am for Pokemon ZA. Because Pokemon Champions is literally just competitive battling. 101. I mean, like, it's nutty the way that they're gonna go about it. I don't want to leave him out here. I really, really, really don't. I'm gonna, but I don't wanna, because he's gonna get hit hard. Yep. Because of huge power. Of course, Meditative avoided it. Doubled up on him. Stay alive, Flexmatic. That's a dead side up. Metachom is actually a really... I probably mentioned this before too, but Metachom is a really solid PowerPoint soak in single battles. You could technically use it in double battles as well, but there's much less variance. Like, it's harder to pull off in doubles than it is in singles. But Metatite's got a really solid way to soak PowerPoints. I was trying to think of another word and I couldn't. It didn't come to me. That's the joys of making unedited content. You get to see all the foibles and faux pas and mistakes. But the way Metatite does it is you use detect, protect, endure, and you make it hold a leftovers. Now, the reason why you do that is simple. Endure allows you to go to 1 HP, right? So it doesn't matter how much damage you take, you could get hit by all 3 Pokemon, your ally, and the enemy too, and you will only go down to 1 HP. No ifs, ands, or buts, you will always stay 1 HP. This is why you pair it with Leftovers. Leftovers pops and says, okay, you get extra health. A little bit of extra health. And once you get that extra health, you're good to go. Alright? We're not going to fight these guys yet. We're going to go in. We're going to get to the next city. Because it's Eterna. Gotta remember, we gotta find the Name Raider. When we find the Name Raider, we can get the Magikarp named to something else. And go from there. But as I see, I'm already at 30 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to... Whoops, I don't want to do that again. We're going to pull the Magikarp out. We're going to find the Name Raider. And we're going to go do it. That's a female Magikarp, isn't it? It is. So I gotta think of a name when I get it there. Is this a Name Raider? That's the Underground Man's house. I could go get an Underground Pokemon. I also have to sell my potions. So. But I am looking forward to the Pokemon Champions. But back to what I was saying about there it is, name rating services. Back to what I was saying about the protect, detect, endure. So what you do is you endure first time, right? And then after you've endured, you get a little bit of health back. So you can't endure again, because if you do, it fails. It's got that extra chance to fail. So you use Protect, which has a 100% chance to succeed. So you Protect, block, blocks the third one. Then, next in which you get a little bit more HP from Leftovers. Then you endure again. And it takes you back down to 1, and you can't die. And then you Detect, and then you endure, and then you Protect. And you just keep flipping between those 3, because Metachom can learn all 3 of those. You end up burning through the opponent's power points quite quickly. And if you compare it with somebody that knows like Grudge or Spite, not Grudge, because I think Grudge faints the user. If you compare it with like somebody that knows Spite, you can eat through their power points in an enormous amount of time. So, what did I want to name this Magikarp? Because it becomes Gyarados, which is a big snake. Serpentia. We'll go with that. Serpentia. Now I can actually use it. Because now I've nicknamed it, you see. Aha! So it wasn't dead to me. It just couldn't use it till now. See, now I can go out here and skunk all of them. Because now I swap them out and get extra EXP. Now, if one of these people has a golden Magikarp, I'm going to be upset. I don't know why, but I saw the splash attack. And the first thing I thought was it was an old Your Mom joke that was like, your mom's so fat her splash attack does damage. It slayed me the first time I heard it. I know where I heard it too, but at the same time, it made me chuckle. I couldn't help it, and the reason being is because, you know, as a Pokemon player, you know how pathetic Splash is because it does 0 damage. But let me tell you, there was a Pokemon myth ages ago. Aside from the, check under the truck from Mew, there was another one that said that Splash was the only attack that could OHKO Mewtwo during the fight. So it was totally a myth, but back then there was no way to look it up. There was no real knowledge to go look it up. So you'd hear about it. And you'd hear these people, you'd hear the mutterings like, oh yeah, if you go take a Magikarp with Splash, you can go and you can one-shot Mewtwo with Magikarp with Splash. And so, of course, news traveled fast, especially back in those days, especially fake news. And boy, did everybody believe it. Like, it was, complete garbage, of course, complete bunk. But people believed it. I mean, it's like using strength to move the truck to find Mew, the truck that didn't exist. On an island that didn't exist. For a Mew that didn't exist. And then, of course, there was Missing No, which Missing No was pretty much any number that was missing. They wanted to make the game larger. They just didn't have the space for it. So Missing No became a rather interesting how do I want to put this? A rather interesting so-called Pokemon. I had a Missing No that was a Doduo. And here's the really interesting part. The Doduo back then could not learn Fly. Neither could Dodrio. And the reason they couldn't learn Fly is because they had no wings. They were a flightless bird. So, what I did is I caught Missing No. The Missing No happened to know Fly. I evolved it from a Doduo, or I evolved it from a Missing No by leveling it. And when it leveled, it turned into a Dodrio. And I'm like, but my Dodrio knows Fly. Interesting. They've later patched it, I believe, so that Dodrio can learn Fly, which makes no sense. But it was really funny because it was deemed a legitimate Pokemon, and when you transferred it to the original Pokemon like Coliseum, back on the N64, through the little pack that you put in the bottom of the N64 controller, say a little spot in the N64 controller, you snap it in there, and you pop your game in, and you can upload your Pokemon. Well, they had one where you could watch Dodrio fly, and it just kind of lifts off from the ground like it's hovering, just, and it's like, what is this even? And then you watch it come crashing in on them diagonally. It was hilarious. But it was a way to actually fill out parts of your Pokédex if you didn't have those Pokemon. So, realistically speaking, if you were at a place where those Pokemon could be found, like near the starting city, like near Pallet Town, and you went from Pallet Town and you went to where the Missing No is, and you used a Repel or a Max Repel to keep people away, you could theoretically get a Missing No starter. So you could get a Squirtle, a Bulbasaur, or a Charmander. You can also get any of the Nido, like Nidoran female, Nidoran male. Problem is Nidoking was better than Nidoqueen. That is until Sword and Shield. Then Nidoqueen picked up... Actually, no, because they both picked up Sheer Force. I think Nidoqueen still had a better move pool. Pretty sure Nidoqueen still had a better move pool than Nidoking. Don't quote me on that. I loved Sheer Force in Sword and Shield. Sheer Force is an ability that is, to me, is underrated, and people don't use it enough. And it's just amazing. But no fatalities. We did manage to name the Magikarp, so now we can use it. And it's going to be working toward becoming a Gyarados. But I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I enjoyed it. And I hope you did as well. I'm going to be doing some Pokemon battles soon. I'm going to go back to doing singles. I do like doubles, and it's going to be on Scarlet Violet. I do like double battles, don't get me wrong. But I think I perform better at singles. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be coming up soon. Also, when the Ashes of Creation server comes up, I will be doing an Ashes of Creation video, or more than one. I really like the game. There's going to be a WoW retirement video coming up soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.